Hi everyone, welcome back to the strawberryloli channel. This is your friendly neighborhood Slytherin Ren. I asked on my community tab recently which review you wanted to see me do first. The new Jordan's Divine collection release from Odin's Eye or the Aurora Struck palette by Colourpop, which has recently been restocked on their website. To my surprise, the Colourpop palette actually won out. I don't know why, I just feel like since Odin's Eye is like a bit more of a pricier brand and it's more indies, I felt like there would be more hype surrounding that. But I guess in all fairness, this particular palette by Colourpop, Aurora Struck, pretty much broke the internet when it was first released. So I can see how there is still a demand out there for more reviews and content featuring this palette. As you can see, this is clearly inspired by the Northern Lights, also known as Aurora Borealis. Is that considered one of the world wonders, or is it just like a natural phenomenon? I don't know. Either way, I'm sure you must have seen Aurora Borealis before in pictures and whatnot, or maybe you yourself have been there. It's definitely on my bucket list of things to see and places to visit before I leave this earthly plane. So I'm just gonna read the description off the website. This is a pressed eyeshadow palette with 30 dreamy shades inspired by the Northern Lights in matte, metallic, matte sparkle, and pearlescent glitter finishes. And let me tell you, although the mattes are stunning as per usual with Colourpop's matte formula, the metallics and what was the other one? Pearlescent glitter finishes. I feel like that is referring to what we would call in the Asian beauty world a pressed glitter. So you'll probably see me referring to that formula as a pressed glitter throughout my application footage. But yeah, I particularly vibe with all the metallics and pressed glitters in this palette. Like, just so pretty. I cannot even deal. Create endless soft glam or vibrant looks with glistening shades that'll light up the sky. Go extra dreamy with this 30 pan palette. Where is the lie though? Where is the lie? Alright, so if you want to know in detail how I came up with this dreamy, multicolored look on my lids today, it's giving Little Mermaid, it's giving Ariel's tail and outfit. When I say Ariel, I mean Halle Bailey's version. It's giving Mad Hatter and Caterpillar combined from Alice in Wonderland. If you want to know how I created this, then just keep watching. Okay, so I want to try this look. Obviously, I'll have to switch out some of the colors, but the thing I love about this look, as you can see, she's really utilizing her entire lid space, and I love that for us Asian girlies, the hooded eye girlies. I just love like figuring out ways to maximize the fun that we can have with our natural features, I want to incorporate and showcase as many colors as I can from this palette for you guys. So let me go ahead and prime my eyelids and we are just gonna dive right in. Two colors are really calling out to me the most right now. Phenomenon down here, which is like this beautiful deep turquoise matte, and then Arctic Fox, which is this almost duochrome, beautiful metallic seafoam green. You don't see this type of shade that often. Giving like very mermaid scale vibes. I'm gonna put Night Sky down as a base first. Since Arctic Fox is kind of like a thinner shimmery type shade, I feel like it needs somewhat of a base. I mean, you could build it up. I get the sense that you could definitely build Arctic Fox up on its own as a single shadow, but anyway, we're here with this whole mega palette to showcase, so why not? Ooh, okay, so this Night Sky is actually a sequin matte formulation. Has a matte base with like very fine micro shimmers sprinkled throughout, and you can actually see the shimmers shining through very clearly on this one, which is not always the case with their sequin shadows. Layering on Arctic Fox. Night Sky would actually be really good just on its own, but again, since we do have the entire 30 colors to play with. For the next shade, we gotta go in with Phenomenon. Such a pretty rich teal. I brought the outer corner out far enough so that I could connect it to my lower lash line as well. And then looking at her picture, she kind of leaves it like open ended. The shadow doesn't hug my lash line so tightly, it kind of separates. Not gonna lie, this Phenomenon shadow is slightly patchy and tricky to deal with. Like, it was kind of tricky getting this to be an even saturation where I want it to be, and then also, I don't know, I feel like it's not fading out quite as well as I would have hoped, but all things considered, it's still a beautiful shade, and this is par for the course with Colourpop's formula, I would say. Could also be the brush I'm using. This is not the best quality brush. Okay, so for like the pink magenta part, I'm gonna swap that out for purples or lilacs. So we're gonna go with No Sleep and Midnight Sun down here. Wow, I really have no eyelid space, huh? Look, I'm already like right up against my brow. See, that shadow went on really smoothly and evenly, I feel. This powdery lilac, more so than the turquoise, I feel, unfortunately. But I'm just nitpicking. I really like how this is looking so far, actually. So for the pointy little triangle things that she has on the edges there, I am going to dip into Orca. I love that name, by the way. It's just like a really intense dark navy blue. So now I'm just like lightly placing a little bit of the pressed glitter shade So Lit on the intersection here between these two shades on my upper lid. Oh my goodness, I fell in love with this pressed glitter the moment that I swatched it. It's like different shades of blue glitter and some white glitter mixed in there, if you can see. It's literally like a mermaid themed pressed glitter. I'm a big fan of most of Colourpop's pressed glitters, actually. I feel like they really did a good job of imitating the K-pop formulas, which I'm pretty sure is where they got the inspiration from in the first place to start making so many pressed glitters. But then the great thing about it is that they're offering it in Colourpop colors, you know, like lots and lots of unique shades and choices that you don't necessarily see in K-beauty or other Asian beauty brands that often. So it's like K-beauty quality glitters, but with the Western quality of variety of color selection. And I just love that. I truly love anything that expands my options in any area of life, really. Oh my god, I almost forgot to add the glitter to my lower lash line. That would have not been acceptable. You guys, I'm obsessed with this pressed glitter. Holy crap. I have half a mind to like depot it and bring it around everywhere with me. It's so pretty. I've never seen a glitter with just a bunch of different blue shades mixed in together like this. Alright, so this is the final look. What do you guys think? I absolutely love how this turned out, and let's just call a spade a spade. This is pretty much a mermaid inspired, Ariel inspired eyeshadow look, okay? You can clearly see where my mind is at these days. You want to know something weird just as a side note? I actually never watched the original Little Mermaid in its entirety when I was a kid. Yeah, I definitely remember watching this like animated spin-off show. This was like after the movie came out, obviously, but they actually had a regular cartoon show for kids, you know, like episode by episode, using all the same characters, Ariel, Flounder, etc. And it would just be extra adventures that she had under the sea. Come to think of it, I'm not sure about the time period of the cartoon show then, because doesn't she get permanently turned into a human so that she can marry Eric in the movie? See, I didn't know this as a kid because all I knew was the TV show, so I only knew her as a mermaid. And then even from that show, the only episode that I really remember, it's seared into my brain, is the one where it's called Whale of a Tale, and they basically find this orphaned little orca baby whale. Ariel, because of her kind, generous, you know, warm heart, decides to adopt the little baby whale as her pet, but then he starts to grow very quickly in size and chaos ensues, as you can imagine. But anyway, the point is, I have never really been one of those like OG Little Mermaid, original Little Mermaid movie stans. I barely knew the original storyline until this new live action film starring Halle Bailey came out this year. And it's not because I didn't like the story or the premise or anything, it's just simply for the fact that I was a child who didn't really have any say or awareness over what I wanted to watch other than what my parents brought into the house. So the Disney movies that I remember watching over and over growing up were basically just the ones that we had in our household on VHS. You know, not because my parents were trying to like pick and choose which ones I could have, but it just happened to be that I had Cinderella, Snow White, and Alice in Wonderland. Those were like the three big movies that I would put on repeat over and over again. Somehow The Little Mermaid just never really made it into the mix. So yeah, I feel like I never was really huge into the whole mermaid fantasy thing either because of that. So now for the first time in my life, I feel like I really am getting super into the whole mermaid aesthetic and theme. And that's just basically all I wanted to say. But yeah, get into this look. Isn't it so sparkly and fun? And I feel like it's just a dead ringer for all those colors that Ariel Halle Bailey has in her tail and outfit in the new live action movie, and I'm living for it. I'm proud of myself that I was able to incorporate so many colors. I don't know why when I first looked at this palette, somehow I thought that I would not be able to create a colorful look that had enough contrast because everything blends so well together, but you can clearly see that there's plenty of contrast here. Let me count how many shades did I actually end up using. We did Head North, and then So Lit, that's the blue pressed glitter on the top and bottom that I'm obsessed with. Night Sky, No Sleep, Arctic Fox, Midnight Sun, Phenomenon, and Orca. That's 8 shades in total that I was able to use in this one look. Not too shabby if I do say so myself. The only shade that I wish I could have tested out, but it just was not in the cards this time, was Journey, because I was a little nervous when I first swatched it. It came off a little bit chalky, but now that I'm having a second go at it, it looks very decently pigmented. Yeah, that's pretty decent, right? I think it was just the top layer that I had to get off first before I could get to the juiciness of the actual shadow. That is my first impressions and first demo of the Aurora Struck palette by Colourpop. I'm so glad I picked this up now that I have the finished look done on my eyes and I'm like living my mermaid fantasy. I can't imagine not having this palette in my collection. You know, at first when this palette first came out, for some reason I actually was just not that intrigued. Like, I thought it was very pretty, of course, but somehow I just felt like those colors don't look poppy enough for my taste. But clearly I was proven wrong today. The pigmentation and just the harmony between all the colors are so on point. For the range of colors and finishes that you get, you know, you have purple, blues, greens, turquoises, even like some tan and gray shades here for a much more muted, cool toned look. Not only do you have all these different colors, you have the first 2 rows are like much lighter pastel, light metallic type of colors, and then it gets darker gradually as you go down. But I really have to say, like, kudos to Colourpop on this point. This palette has got to be one of the most consistently formulated palettes that I've ever seen from Colourpop, or just across the board, I guess, in general. As you could see on my arm swatches, they pretty much all swatched at the same intensity and delivered the same amount of pigmentation. I found that held true for the most part when I was actually applying the eyeshadows. So that's really impressive. Actually, it's just something that I wanted to really point out. If we're gonna be really honest, this palette, this is more consistent than some Odin's Eye palettes that I have swatched. Not to say that Colourpop's formulation is necessarily better than Odin's Eyes, but like the consistency. How many times have I said that word? I do feel like that's a really impressive feat though, because especially with like different shades and different colors, we all know how much harder it is to make eyeshadows in some shades as opposed to others. So anyway, I'm going to wrap up the review here. I hope this was helpful for you if you're considering picking up this palette. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!